Good morning. Thank you for joining us today in our latest of the Indiana Uplands Housing webinar series. Today, we're going to talk about developing a home buyer program. And we are really excited about our guests that we have to talk to you today. I want to encourage you guys to put questions in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat for questions. If it's something that I think that we need to have answered or should be answered along the way, I'll pop in and ask our speaker to answer your question. Otherwise, we'll hold them until the speaker is completed. We will also have time for questions at the end. We are recording the session and it will be posted on our website along with our other sessions. If you've missed them, you can check them out at regionalopportunityinc.org. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker this morning. Laurie Jones is the Director of Homeownership Development and Client Services at the Indianapolis Neighborhood Partnership. COVID Brain and Services, I think. And I'm really excited to have her. She came highly recommended from a contact that I have at HUD. So I'm really looking forward to her presentation this morning on developing a homeownership program. And then she's going to be followed by our very own Kristal Painter. She is the Executive Director at Orange County Economic Development Partnership. And she's going to talk about some of the things that she's been doing to ready her residents for homeownership and the projects that she's been working on. So we're really excited to hear from both of these accomplished women this morning. So Laurie, I'm gonna ask you to join me on the screen. Great, thank you. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and you can talk a little bit if you would like, for a few minutes about your background in this. I know you've been at this for a very long time, and then feel free to share your screen and get started. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And it's an honor for me to be with you this morning. I'm Laurie Jones. I'm the Director of Homeowner Development and Client Services with the Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership. I have a background in nonprofit agencies. Historically, I've worked in credit counseling and training and education with the old CCCS. If you know the Consumer Credit Counseling Services, I was there for over 20 years. So I've been doing this total for about 30 plus years. So I'm honored to be able to participate with you this morning. So if I may go ahead and just start sharing my screen, we'll get right to it.
Thank you, that's great.
Next moment. I hope everyone can see.
Yes, it looks great. Thank you.
Great, great, great. So I do have to talk about what I do here a little bit. INHP, I don't know if many of you've heard of us. We're the Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership, nonprofit organization. We've been here since 1988. What we do is help our families in Indianapolis become long-term successful homeowners. That is our goal, and we do that in several ways by providing the resources and the tools needed to be successful. We are also a lender. We have loan products here, and we have things such as down payment assistance for our families. So our goal is to be the one-stop shop for mortgage lending for our families. We vision having every person in Indianapolis the opportunity to become a homeowner. We understand that everybody is not into homeownership, and that's okay. But if they would like to do it and have the opportunity to be a homeowner, we definitely want to support that. And so we have strong values here at INHP that we uphold with ourselves in order to produce the programs and services for our families as needed. I am over the Homeowner Development Program, also known as the HPP, which is the Home Buyer Preparation Program, where we're preparing home buyers, those who want to be a homeowner for successful homeownership. And I always say that I'm the GPS, but you're driving. If you follow the directions and you follow our guidelines and our advising, we'll get you to where you want to be. But it's up to you. It's all about accountability and the desire for doing the work and making sure you get things done as needed. In our homeowner development program, I have somewhere along the line of 1,100 families trying to buy a home right now in various stages. And so I have a team of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I have a team of 11 advisors who work tirelessly with our families, trying to help them overcome barriers and get them to the point of qualifying for a loan. So we're very, very busy here, never a dull moment. And it's just very rewarding to see and work with our families as they go through the challenges, as you all know, of trying to be a homeowner. Now, let's get to the homebuyer education. We provide several types of education here at INHP, and they're required courses for our families who are going through the advising. The one that we're going to focus on today is our homebuyer education course. We, of course, believe knowledge is power. We know that the more knowledgeable we are, the more powerful we are. And we're preparing the families for the home buying process. So by the time they get to the certain steps, it's not a shock treatment to them. I think one of the best, most complimentary statements ever told to me was by one of our lender partners, who said, you can always tell an INHP client because they know the process, they understand what's going to happen, and they're prepared. That is so rewarding to hear. Our home buyer education also reduces that fear that we all have. If you've been a home buyer, and you know it's an elephant. And so trying to reduce the stress and the fear, that helps also. Most of our lender partners, including ourselves, require home buyer education to be completed prior to closing. And they may also offer some benefits to the families who do complete the courses. And then last, but definitely most important, the education is a vehicle for our families to maintain long-term successful homeownership. So who are our students in our classes? Well, they're all adult learners. Most of them are participating in our homeowner development program. But we also get others who are referred from lender partners. They send their clients to us to take the class as a prerequisite for closing. And then we get those who are just coming off the street saying, I just want to know, what are the steps? And so we invite all of them into our classroom, and we enjoy having our families. Now, we do offer homebuyer education in different ways. Historically, it's the classroom, as most nonprofits offer. In our classroom, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, I would have between 40 to 60 people possibly in a classroom. We also, a few years ago, decided to take our homebuyer education course and put it on a bus and show our families what's available in the neighborhoods, the housing stock. It's a great way of breaking up the day and not only getting them excited about the process, but seeing what's out there that they could possibly buy. And then we also offer our course online. Wanted to show a little bit of the impact in numbers. Last year, we educated in homebuyer education 435 individuals. and 79% of those were via online. 2020, when the pandemic hit, we educated 542 individuals, which 92% were online. But pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, 820 individuals were educated, with 56% being online and 44% in the classroom. So pre-pandemic, it was about even, a little bit leaning more toward the online. But of course, during the pandemic and now, our online numbers are higher and very expected. In our classroom, we have to limit the numbers. We have to definitely follow the protocol for social and physical distancing. So I thought it was interesting to show you the impact of how our families decide, and they choose how they decide to take our class. We are a HUD-approved agency, and we have adopted the national industry standards for homeownership education and counseling, which means we want to be sure that we are consistent with the quality of the education nationwide. There are core operating standards that we must follow, and we're very proud of that. We have been following these standards for, wow, almost the 30 plus years that we've been here. And so we're very happy with our program here in homebuyer education. Our online format is through Framework Homeownership, and many of you may already be aware of them. They're a wonderful organization where they have created the online platform for us to use for our families. Self-paced, they can stop and start the course at their own timing. They can they have a lot of knowledge checks and tests that they can take. So we're very happy partnering with Framework for our HBE online. My heart is always with the classroom. And I not only lead the team here, but I sneak into the classes sometimes because I love being around the families and seeing their excitement and their joy and their thirst for wanting to know about this process. So when COVID and the pandemic hit, we did cease our classes like everybody else probably did. But we resumed the homebuyer education class last May. We started slow, and we still will only allow possibly up to 20 now in this class. But it is so rewarding to still be with the families and see their excitement as they start to get it, and they share their experiences with us. We hold our classroom, our homebuyer education class in the classroom every month. It's on the second Saturday of each month from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a long day, but it's worth it. Nothing more rewarding in class than to see or hear a client say, "I'm glad I came because I get it." This is our typical agenda for that Saturday. You can see there are 7 modules, and it's presented by subject matter experts. I have trainers on my team that work for me who lead and facilitate the day, but we also have our loan officers come in from different lender partners, our real estate professionals, inspectors, insurance agents, title and closing agents. We feel that it's important to put them in front of our families so that the clients can actually see and hear from them what to expect. And it's exciting. Our curriculum actually was created by the subject matter experts. I decided to bring in a room full of loan officers from different lenders, and I said, "What do you think our family should know?" So they created the curriculum, and it's standard for every presenter. They're not there selling themselves and their companies, but they're there as a subject matter expert in the home buying process. Our trainers, as I said, they're hired, they're full-time staff here. They're the facilitator, they're the assistants, they're the cheerleaders, they do it all. And I'm very pleased with our trainers. They also do some one-on-one advising with some clients. So they're well-rounded, and I'm thrilled with them. I mentioned our presenters, they're all volunteers. They're very valued. Many of them sponsor the homebuyer education class. And so they're not only our subject matter experts, but they're advocates for us. And they're very open to feedback. They want to know how the clients received us. And so they're just a great partner, and I love working with our presenters. In fact, we couldn't do this well without them. Because we use those presenters, we make it very clear with our clients at the beginning of the day that just because we bring in the presenters from different areas does not mean that you have to use them or their services. It's all about choice. If they choose to use them, that's great, but there is no pressure, there's no selling, nothing like that. So we always make sure our clients know that they have that right not to use them if they choose to. In the homebuyer education course, as they go through the day in the classroom, there is a manual that they follow. Follow the presentation, and where they're able to actually have a takeaway with them on sample addendums such as the closing disclosure and the LE and all the other things that the presenters are going over in the classroom. The client has it right in front of them, and they're able to take it with them to study later. So how do our clients get to us? As I said, different ways they come to us, but they all must register through our website. And we have a very robust website for registration where the clients can go in, register, they select whatever they want. When they get to the homebuyer education, they can take it via classroom, or you can see here's the online, and they can register. And so once they do that, they're able to just go right in and pick their seat, and then we follow up with them and get them ready for class day. So that is our program here. I didn't have to do much work when I came. I've been here 13 years. I just have been tweaking it over the years. And with a great team that I have, we're very fortunate with our homebuyer education program. So I thank you for allowing me to be able to share what we do here at INHP with you.
Thank you, Laurie. I really appreciate that. I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit more about the partnership with Framework and what services that they provide? And do you pay an annual fee, or do they charge based on usage?
Yes. We've been with Framework now for about 5-6 years, I think. Framework was created, as I mentioned earlier, through the Housing Partnership Network and the Minnesota Housing Organization. And so they're Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac approved. Their curriculum pretty much follows ours, which I was thrilled with. And it touches all necessary materials and curriculum needed for a HUD-approved agency. So we are in an annual contract with them. And our classes are $75.
Okay,
And,
so the $75 is for in-person and online classes?
Yes, it is. And then we pay a portion of that to Framework, and then we get a portion of it.
Do you run credit reports for your clients so that they can see what their credit report looks like?
not for home buyer education, but in our advising program, that home HPP, home ownership preparation program we do.
Okay.
It's important for us to assess our families at first to see where they are in the home buying process. And once we pull that tri-merge, then we're able to track if they are what we call lender ready, meaning there are no barriers, there's nothing that probably is going to keep them from going on to loan approval, or if they are within a 2-year average of trying to obtain a loan because of barriers or season, bankruptcy or job, then our homeownership preparation program is best for them. But it's all about choice for the families. They tell us what they want. We never tell or push them into anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do full credit reports, absolutely.
Okay, great. We do have another question about the charge. Do you offer scholarships?
Not scholarships, but we do waive. We are a HUD approved agency, so we do have to acknowledge, and we do work with those who cannot make that payment. They put it in writing, and then more than likely I do waive the fee if they request it. Absolutely.
Okay, great. I do want, can we talk a little bit about being a HUD-certified housing counseling agency? I worked at one too. So, but can you talk about why you feel that's important and what that entails really quickly?
Absolutely. We've been HUD approved here at INHP since our inception almost. Most of you know the certification ruling came out for counselors a few years ago, and this past August is when it's really implemented. And so I was ahead of the game and I certified all of my advisors, including myself. My certificate is on my wall. We certified ourselves 2 years ago. I thought it was important that, number one, we had to because of the HUD ruling, but number two, it gives us leverage with our partners and in our community. And I think our families deserve to have the best quality in advising and counseling. And so it was just a no-brainer for us that we had to have our team certified. And so we're very proud of that. It also was a booster for my team.
Yeah. Now, did you do your team certification through NeighborWorks?
No, I didn't. We're not a NeighborWorks organization.
Okay, just curious.
We do utilize their trainings. We do
Okay.
utilize their trainings. Our certification, of course, it's the HUD certification exam that we all took, but we went on site to Ivy Tech. And with the proctor there, and we took the test. And so we all passed, thank God.
Yeah, the test is not that easy, as I recall. It's been a while since I've taken it, but it's not that easy. We do have a question. Do you share your curriculum with other homebuyer education providers?
Typically, I do not, but I can. I'm more than willing to go over it and share it if someone is really interested in it. Again, it's just following the home buying process. But
All
yes,
right, so Marin will put your contact information in the chat, and people who are interested in contacting you to talk about curriculum can do so directly.
Absolutely.
That would be great. We do have a compliment for you. Somebody loves the picture of the children sitting on the porch right behind you. It is a great photo.
I tell you, we have live shots of our families throughout our offices. And this is actually one of the clients and their kid and her children.
Nice.
It's just, it's like your kid graduating from high school when you have a family here who's finally going to get their loan approval. You had a part in it. And so I'm very proud, but thank you. Yeah, it's important because families are so vital to us.
We do have another question about, you talked about using real estate professionals in your curriculum. So do you use realtors, bankers? How do you find these people, and how do you work with them to make sure that they're providing you with the curriculum that you want and not selling their services.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that's one thing I don't have a problem with. Our subject matter experts, many of them have been working with us for years. But I do, of course, have a lot of real estate professionals who do want to present to our class and expect it.
Yeah.
But every volunteer presenter must participate in an orientation with me. They must provide to us their resume and their license number and all that kind of thing, the MyBor and all that. And so they must sign documents, but the curriculum is set. They can't come in and bring up their own PowerPoint. We have it up when they walk in. So they know what to say. They know what is expected. And so we do have displays out with their cards and, you know, they might bring pens and cups and all that.
Right.
But it's not a selling format for them. They are there only as a subject matter expert on shopping for a home or what to look for in an inspection, you know. So we're very careful with that. And we don't have a problem with that at all.
And I will tell you, I'd never had a problem with that when I ran a home buyer education program either.
Wow.
My real estate professionals that participated were wonderful and understood the mission. And I thought it was wonderful. Do you track your clients to see whether they buy houses and how you know how that process goes for them, and track to make sure that they're staying current and not falling into any issues?
Because we are multifaceted, our lending department, once my team gets a family ready and we qualify them to lending, our lending team then starts tracking the closed loans. Many of the families, we don't know if they closed. We don't know. We have to cut it off at our point. But there are statistics that our lending department provides us that show that approximately 30 to 40% of those we send over do close on a loan. But many of them, they don't go further. They don't, you know, unfortunately change their mind and they keep renting. Different things happen.
Well, and the other thing I found is that they might not do it right now.
That's right.
They might do it later and we don't know. Right. So I was wondering if kind of follow up you did.
Cut you off, but our job is to get them to the point of qualifying for a loan, breaking the barriers, building the savings, education. Once we get them over there, I feel satisfied. I would love for them to get a home, but I feel satisfied that we did our job that we were supposed to do. And once they get to the lending department, hopefully they will still carry it on, but they may not be ready. They may change their mind.
Well, Laurie, this has been incredibly helpful. We are going to move on to Kristal now, but we'll ask you to stay tuned because we may have some questions at the end when Kristal is done with her presentation. So thank you again. I'd like to invite Kristal to join me on the screen. Thank you, Kristal. And Kristal does not run a home buyer education program, but I felt like what she does is very interesting because she has some housing programs going and she is bringing people in to try to get them ready to purchase homes and marketing these things. And I thought this might be sort of a part 2 of this conversation. So I'm going to let Kristal go ahead and talk to you about what she's doing down in Orange County. And then if we have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll make sure that they get answered. Thank you, Kristal.
Thank you, Lisa. As you mentioned earlier, I am the executive director at the Orange County Economic Development Partnership, and I've been in this role a little over a year now. And prior to that, I was director of tourism. So I don't have the experience that Laurie or Lisa has with housing. In fact, housing is pretty new to me, aside from the fact that I live in one. That was my knowledge previously. But our mission at OCEDP is to improve the quality of life of Orange County citizens through activities that stimulate economic development. And being able to provide adequate housing is vital to that mission. So I don't have anything too groundbreaking or profound to share with you guys this morning. What I do have is the approach that we're taking here in Orange County, which was to find the resources that are already available in our community and to utilize those. Marion, you can switch to the next slide. I was surprised at some of the resources that are already existed here in the county, meaning that we didn't have to recreate the wheel because we're a two-person office and we don't necessarily have the capacity to develop any programs from the ground up. So what we do have the capacity for is to have conversations, do some research, and leverage what's already out there. And through this approach, we've been able to point people in the right direction, but it's also allowed us to strengthen relationships with some of our very important partners that are our local lenders. So one of our anchor employers recognized that they were losing existing workforce and having difficulty attracting new workforce into our market to fill open positions. And what they figured out was that there simply just wasn't enough housing for people considering a relocation to our community. Thankfully, that anchor employer, French Lick Resort, they don't sit around and wait for answers. They create answers that solve problems. And that's how all of this got started. And here's a short video that we created together to start educating people on this entire process.
It's here on this country road in a small Indiana town where new beginnings are possible. Hardworking people who survived a pandemic now have the chance of a lifetime, a chance to call this brand new house their home. Nothing says southern Indiana like quaint small towns and rolling hills as far as the eye can see. It's here in Orange County, Indiana, where you may have noticed something new.
It's a project from the heart. I mean, you know, we've been here 20 years. So, you know, we got to step up to the plate and we got to do something.
And that's exactly what Chuck Franz, Vice President of Cook Group, the parent company of French Lick Resort, is doing. The resort has teamed up with Orange County Economic Development to build new houses in a community that desperately needs it.
There has not been a new development built in Orange County for housing since the 60s. So that's been a very long time.
For at least the last 40 years, towns like French Lick and West Baden have struggled to attract new businesses because there simply isn't enough affordable housing for people who live across county lines. But that's about to change. A farm on Abbeydale Pike is transforming into a neighborhood, a place to grow your family and make memories.
This project here is so special because we are in the process of building approximately 80 new homes to service our workforce here in Orange County. So this project, this home development, is going to be open to anyone that is employed by an Orange County employer here in our communities.
These are two of the houses going up now with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a huge 2-car garage. And it could be yours for $150,000.
Orange County Economic Development Partnership will play the role of realtor in a sense. We will actually be hosting a drawing on our website as houses come to completion. We will have those listed out on our website, which is www.ocedp.com. It will say what house is available, the location on this property. It'll also state what color the siding is. It'll give you all of the particulars so that you can let us know if you're interested in that particular home.
Once they get the number of people interested in the home who also pre-qualify with the bank, they'll host a drawing.
The best thing will be is when somebody gets in that first home and to see their face and to see their reaction, and then the next person and the next person.
This labor of love from Orange County and French Lick Resort is a promise to invest in the future, to help our economy one person at a time. This first house here behind me will be finished by early November with 7 more done by 2023. Then after that, the town of French Lick will need a little help with infrastructure and sewer lines in order to build more homes. In Orange County, I'm Laurie Jones. It's here on this country.
So that timeline was just slightly off due to some supply chain issues and COVID and weather. But as you just saw, the resort's doing the hard part. They're building the houses. So that's where the partnership with our office was formed. And so it's our job to get our community members aware and prepared. And we started with our lenders by having conversations with them, educating them on what's happening, and just getting them involved with all the conversations that pertain to these workforce housing houses that are going up. It's been a real win-win relationship. As I found out, they already have numerous educational resources to share, and that's some of what you're going to see on this slide and the next. And they want nothing more than to help people get into a new home. So we used our platform to help spread the word about the various loan programs that the banks are offering, their financial education webinars, and ways to save for down payment or repair credit. Last fall, Marion, you can advance that. Last fall, the resort hosted, one more time, a mortgage pre-approval workshop for their employees. So it was just open to French Lick Resort staff, but we visited that workshop and spoke to the 5 lenders that were present and speaking to the employees. And we asked them about, our office hosting a separate workshop or numerous workshops that would be open to the entire county so that team members from other employers could come and learn this information as well. So they were all in agreement and wanted us to start hosting these workshops. So we did all the marketing, the promotion, we rented and paid for the space. We provided the opportunity for community members to come to one location and visit with several lenders, allowing them to shop programs, talk about interest rates and payment amounts, or to discuss any financial situations that might need to be fixed before homeownership is a possibility. And what we found was that it was a non-threatening way to get people in the same room with the lenders so that they could start asking questions or complete applications for pre-approval to see what they might qualify for with the various loan programs out there, or what kind of down payment might be needed, or if they needed to start a path for credit repair. It was just a great format to start facilitating those conversations. From the conversations, you can go to the next slide. From the conversations we've had with the lenders and the feedback they received from customers during the pre-approval workshops, one of the lenders that we're working with has now created a special 4-part financial education webinar series. You can hit next. And that'll be launching March 7th. The 4 courses will be financial psychology, budgeting, credit, and home ownership. And our office will do all the marketing for that series so that we can directly target workforce, and we'll advertise that with paid promotion, but we'll also promote through the Orange County employers by communicating directly with the HR departments at each employer throughout Orange County. And it doesn't matter if it's a one-man shop or if it's like the resort where they have 1,200 full-time employees. We're going to be communicating with all of those various employers throughout the county. And we're going to also use social media, paid media, and our newsletters. And a positive side note about the newsletters is we've received a ton of new subscribers to our e-news and followers on social media once we started providing the information pertaining to home ownership, mortgage workshops, and just housing in general. So we have a whole new population that's following the work we're doing here at Orange County Economic Development Partnership, which is fantastic. So our office is acting as the liaison, so to speak. We're disseminating the information through marketing campaigns, workshops, and employer outreach. And prospective home buyers are contacting our office, which allows us to directly communicate with community members and workforce. And we're able to direct them to specific resources based on the conversations we're having with them. So we're able to point them in the right direction for mortgage pre-approval, or connect them with lenders that can specifically speak to them about credit repair or other issues that they might be having. We've also been having conversations with our local Purdue Extension office and one of the educators there on ways that they can incorporate some of their programming. We just haven't figured out all the particulars on that yet. So stay tuned to our social media or to our website when we get that worked out with them. I know that educator will be attending our next Paoli Housing Task Force, which is a task force that was created in one of our towns here in Orange County to address housing needs in their community. But Purdue Extension is really excited to get involved because providing this type of education will also help fulfill some of their community education requirements, which is a win because it allows us to support one another. We're providing them a way to get some of their education out there and get families or individuals involved in what they have to offer. Another way, and you can advance the slide, Maren, another way that our office is involved is through the actual marketing of the available homes in the New Orange County Workforce Housing Development. And we will be the marketing entity and host the open house events that'll take place as homes are ready to be sold. And we actually just hosted our first event this past Sunday, and we had numerous people that came over, toured the house. We're still accepting reservations for that. I've actually got to go over later this afternoon and give a tour for a community member as well. So we're really excited that we finally got to host our first event. Here is a final video that will talk about the open house events and kind of how the process will work now that homes are becoming finished.
The excitement is building. What started out as a piece of farmland on Abbeydale Pike is finally the site of a brand new home. This project has been years in the making as the need for workforce housing in Orange County has become a priority. French Lick Resort has teamed up with the Orange County Economic Development to build new houses in our community that desperately needs it. And we are beyond excited to show off the first house that is finally finished. Take a look here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, has a 2-car garage, an open floor concept, so there's plenty of space to make memories as a family, as a couple. It's just awesome. And it could be yours for $150,000. To learn all about this house, your chance to buy it, and more than 80 other homes we hope to build that could also be yours, go to ocedp.com and click on housing. The excitement.
So that's what I have to share with you guys this morning. Like I said, nothing groundbreaking. We're just pulling in existing resources to help educate our community and hopefully shine a light on what some of our partners already have in place. Thank you for allowing me to talk about this morning, Lisa and Maren and the entire ROI team. And I appreciate everything that Laurie had to offer prior to me. She has loads of experience, so I'll probably be hitting her up as well to see if I can't incorporate some of her information into what we're pushing out to our community members as well. But we're just super excited here in Orange County to finally have the workforce housing development come to fruition. I feel like it's been talked about for a very long time now, as Lisa knows. And so finally to host that open house event and tour people through the house this past Sunday was just super exciting. Maren can share out my contact information, and just feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions in the future about what we're doing, or if you want to come to French Lick and see one of these houses. I'd be happy to show you around.
Thank you, Kristal. Really appreciate that. And actually, I think what you are doing is groundbreaking, both literally and figuratively. We're getting some very needed housing. So I have a couple of things that I wanted to ask you. First of all, I know that the initial part of this project was done as a partnership between the French Lick Resort, your organization, and the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. So, you know, you used some creative ways to bring some resources into your community to build some housing. Can you chat about that for a second?
Sure. What got the resort really started was a possible partnership with IHCDA. And it was going to be like a matching kind of revolving loan fund that they were going to be able to provide to us. But that's not actually being utilized at this point. The resort is, you know, acting as the developer, they're being the contractor, and then we're able to do all the marketing for them. And then there won't be, you know, none of these homes will be available through realtors or through real estate agents. So all the marketing will be done here in our office. But through the conversations we had with IHCDA, which you were a part of some of those, that helped us develop, you know, our application, some of the requirements and the covenants that are being used. And then it allowed me to form a relationship with Purdue so that they could help tailor some of our documents that are being used as well. And then, of course, our attorney has drawn up the purchase agreement and things like that. And once a prospective home buyer does the application and maybe they're drawn and they sign that purchase agreement, it's out of our hands, and then we'll move on to the next event.
Okay, so I was hoping that would lead into this question that I'm going to ask you now about how much is the house subsidized, if at all? And do you know, or can you talk about the actual building cost versus the sales price?
That with the resort doing the development and the contracting themselves, and they've been able to utilize some local vendors and businesses for, you know, heating and air and some of the materials, they've been able to keep the cost relatively low. So they're basically selling the homes for the price it's costing them to build them. They're not in this to make a profit. In fact, they're not making a profit. They're just here to build homes. And as they say, they're going to continue building homes until there's no longer a demand, because they have a second property. This first Orange County Workforce Housing Development is in West Baden, but they have a second piece of property in French Lick that they're hoping to start breaking the ground sometime this spring, but they've got to get some water ran up to that property. But it's been fantastic working with them on this, but they're not going to be subsidized. They're just selling them for the cost it's costing them to build them.
Excellent. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted you and Laurie to partner today, because Laurie comes from an organization that's a really robust organization that has lots of resources and a very established program. And you're a fairly small organization in a rural area, you know, trying to pull things together so that you can get your people ready to go. So can you talk a little bit about how you have, and you talked a bit about the videos, but how do you send the videos out? How do you get people to know about you and to get excited about this opportunity? Is it word of mouth? What is your most successful vehicle?
We're using a little bit of everything, but right now it seems like Facebook is our biggest supporter, with people sharing the videos. Whenever we launch a video, we're amazed at how far the reach is with them being shared. And then we're sending out newsletters to all the employers, and we're embedding some videos and directing people to our website where these videos live as well. So it's starting, and then people talk. And so we're receiving phone calls even before we knew when our first open house event was going to be. We've had people on a waiting list for months, just wanting to know when the houses were going to be done and if they could come and take a look at them. So we started making those phone calls as soon as house number 1 was ready, and we had people signing up to come participate in the open house.
How long until house number 2 is ready?
They're supposed to be installing appliances on Thursday, so tomorrow. So hopefully house number 2 will be ready sometime next week if Mother Nature cooperates too. With they've got to finish some siding and things like that. The weather's a little bit too cold to put that siding on this week.
It is a tad bit chilly out this morning. No argument there. All right. Do we have any last minute questions?
And I wish everybody had a French Lick resort or a cook group in their backyard, because it does make things like solving the housing issue a little easier.
Well, they are definitely an asset for you, for sure. Nobody is going to argue that, and we're really happy that they're there and that they're doing this. We do have another question. Are the Facebook posts boost or just shared organically?
We're doing both, Ed. We are boosting them within our zip codes. And then we've talked about boosting those in our surrounding county zip codes as well, because we know that we have workforce that commutes into Orange County to work for an Orange County business. So the requirement is that you work for an Orange County business. You don't technically have to be an Orange County citizen today. But if you work for, let's say you work for Boston International, JSI, or French Lick Resort, and you commute in from a neighboring county, this would be an opportunity for you to move to Orange County. So we're thinking about boosting those in our surrounding counties as well.
Okay, I have another question. The Purdue Extension curriculum that they provide, can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know exactly what she's going to be providing yet. I just got word yesterday that she's going to be coming to our next Paoli Housing Task Force meeting and can talk about some of her curriculum there. From the conversations we've had with her, they have a lot of financial and budgeting webinars and educational courses that they can incorporate. And they should have a good handle on who might need to take those courses based on enrollment in some other courses that they present. And they do present like financial responsibility at the elementary and high school level as well. So they're already putting some of that education into the hands of our youth, which is good.
So they're getting your future homeowners ready to be homeowners.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. We have a couple more questions coming in. Are there income restrictions, caps with the Orange County program?
No, there aren't any income restrictions or caps. To apply to be one of those home buyers, you need to be employed by any Orange County employer, and it can be a self-employed situation as long as it's a business that operates here in Orange County. You need to come and present a mortgage pre-approval letter from one of the lenders, and it doesn't have to be one of our local lenders that we're working with if you have a lender that you work with. And then there is a covenant that says you have to remain in the home for 3 years so that it stays workforce housing. So if an individual or a family if they purchase the home and they're not able to remain in that home for the 3-year period, let's say they get a job somewhere else and they have to move, what happens is they're going to sell that home back to the original seller, which is the French Lick Resort, and we'll resell that home so that it remains workforce housing. And that covenant's in there just to prevent people, especially right now with the way the market is, from coming in, purchasing those homes at the $150,000, $155,000 range, and then marking them up to where they're no longer affordable for our workforce. So that's the requirements. You got to work in Orange County. You have to have a mortgage pre-approval letter, which is pretty easy. And you have to basically agree to stay for 3 years, knowing that if that doesn't work, you have a way out.
Okay, we have another question. Have the developments gotten any NIMBY pushback from residents or any negative response from elected officials?
No, our elected
I haven't heard any either.
They're ecstatic. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I was at the county commissioners meeting when the plat for phase 1, which is 12 homes, was adopted, and all 3 commissioners for Orange County were just completely elated to be able to adopt this plat. And now it'll move to the town council of West Baden, who's very excited because their plan is to annex this development so that it becomes town of West Baden.
Okay, all right. I have another question. Did you get any negative feedback from eliminating the realtor community from the program?
Not to my knowledge yet. And the reason that path was chosen was just to keep fees down so that the houses remain at that $150,000, $155,000 level, and just to make it that much more affordable for our community members or our workforce to get into those homes. Because a lot of our community members, hospitality is our #1 industry. Those aren't the highest paying jobs. So people might already be challenged with down payment or, whatever else is out there. So we didn't want to have additional fees on there. So this was the process that we came up with, our office and the resort, to try to eliminate any additional fees and to stop any bidding wars, like what's happening in the market right now with people bidding on houses and outbidding each other. I actually took a phone call from someone yesterday that said, could they have a particular house, not this one, but they're looking at lot number 3 or 4. And they said, if I wrote a check tomorrow, can I guarantee myself lot 3 or 4? And I had to tell them that's not the case. We're doing it this way to keep it fair to everybody. And just to stop things like that from happening.
But there's no, after they live there long enough that their covenants are no longer gone, they could hire a real estate professional to help them sell the house if they chose to move
Absolutely.
to a bigger house or a different house in the future.
Absolutely. Because as this development, it's going to be 5 phases before it's complete with the 75 to 80 homes. And so as they go back through the development and they get to the later stages 4 and 5, chances are the homes will scale to market value. And so there might be a different approach once we get to that situation. But right now, with it being more geared towards our workforce, this is just the approach that was chosen.
All right, excellent. I want to thank you and Laurie so much for this morning, for providing us with all this really great information. We have provided your contact information in the chat. So if they have follow-up questions or if they want to contact Laurie to talk about particular curriculum questions, you guys can do that directly. We are, of course, recording this webinar. We will post it on our website probably next week, given all the things that our person has to do this week. But if you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Maren Whitty or myself at ROI. If you've missed any of our previous webinars, you can find them at our website at regionalopportunityinc.org. So again, thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Kristal. I really appreciate all of your efforts here this morning. And thank you all for joining us. And we will hopefully see you at our next webinar. Thank you.